At the end of the day, my question has to be, is this an ending that's better than the ending we already got? Which is to say, where everything wrapped up. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and we're back with another episode of Gnosia. Well, we are here on the final episode of Gnosia, though I will say once again, not the final recording that we're going to be doing for Gnosia. I guess I should put this right up here at the front so anyone who wants to hear it can hear it. We will be doing a character ranking of the characters. The poll is already out there. As I said, posted on the Discord, posted on the Patreon, posted where we post our schedules here on YouTube in the community section. So, if you want to participate, it's going to be up here for at least another week. I believe what I'm probably going to do after the end of this episode is I'm going to probably record another one of my random OVA wheels, right? And I'm going to put that in the week after this one to give even a little bit more time for people to vote on the character stuff. And then we'll do the character ranking video the week after that. So, that is what I have to say about that. I do come back with notes, obviously, not doing the board anymore because the board it's what it is, right? Nothing's changed. Well, I should say everything's changed, but not in regards to doing loops. The Gnosia thing, it's all done. That's all done. Anything we would have learned from the board has been learned. And unfortunately, we don't have any more comments. So all we have left is a couple of thoughts I had from last episode, and then we're going to hop on in. Another part that makes no sense to me, the idea that Setsu's silver key not being full as some sort of limiter to them being able to finish looping. Something we established already is that the key takes you where it wants to go to learn new things. Meaning that if it created a portal to another multiverse, it wants to see things in that multiverse. Further, it guides you to loops to find new information to fill it with. Setsu isn't trapped in a loop unless the key fundamentally changes how it works. Despite my complete disagreement with having to go get Setsu, or Setsu needing to be rescued, I think the halfway point of this episode would have been a great point to just leave it off with. Have Yuri say goodbye to everyone, and then launch off onto the new adventure of looping. That way, instead of being sad that your time with these characters is over, you can just imagine an infinite series of loops with them. Anything you did in the game that didn't happen exactly the way that you liked could be one of those infinite loops past the end of the show. At the same time, still giving you the goodbyes like it was all over. Probably would have been how I would have ended it. And my final note, the only thing I can think of regarding Kakushra is that Setsu must have been activating the doll in every loop that they were present in, and without Setsu, no one's activating Kakushra? Unless, final thought here, Yuri cyberizes himself and uploads into Kakushra. And I guess some of those loops, Yuri has been Kakushra? I don't know. Just trying to place the idea that Yuri's going to cyberize himself. And they've mentioned Kakushra as a point. So, what can these two things mean? If not, that's what's going to happen. I guess also before we start, I apologize. My voice is going off. I have just been recording all goddamn day, and legitimately half of my vocal cords are already paralyzed. So the left-hand side of my voice is doing way more work than it usually does. Anyway, that is that. So let's go ahead and hop on in and see how all of this wraps up.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
なぜなら私はまだ君に鍵を渡したことがないのだから。これから君が生きていく世界を。
I mean, you never would have. It was another version of you from another multiverse that gave this Yuri a key.
その人は現実に存在しないって。え
flashing back to the in real life thing.
節はここにいなくて、銀の鍵を渡さなきゃいけないユーリはここにいる。
何？暇だったからまとめてみた。これから起きること、これからなすべきこと。これが星船。
I was going to say,
節
this episode is still technically 3 minutes longer than a normal episode. But the fact that we're doing recap, kind of spoiling that one.
わかった。わからないか。こんな旧式の即成学習じゃ起きられる？
If he cyberizes,
先に一応聞いておくけど、人類はこの宇宙から消滅すべきだと思う。
いや、すべきじゃない。どんなに嘘つき
said if he cyberizes into his own body, what happens to the consciousness of the original Yuri?
君は乙女は覚えていたよ。君の名前を聞くと唇が痛いって。
まさかそんな、どうして？
もう一度銀の鍵を使って扉を開いたんだ。節のループを終わらせるために。
Again, you didn't have to. The silver key has its own
今回は
intelligence.
長かったよ。前の10倍はかかったかな。
どうしてそんなこと？
言ったろ。君のループを終わらせるためだ。みんなが教えてくれたんだ。この僕に銀の鍵を渡さない限り、節のループは終わらない。
I think there's upbeat music
最
here,
初と同じように
but in my mind, Yuri is just wrong.
銀の鍵を渡さない限り、因果は繋がらないんだ。
だからって。
急いで。今僕は幽霊みたいに意識だけ移動して本物の僕の体に入っている。けど長くは持たない。本物の僕が意識を回復したら僕はここにいられなくなる。だからその前に早く銀の鍵を。
I guess that makes
ここへの
sense.
道を開いてくれた銀の鍵が。
So we're back in episode 1, in a new multiverse.
これは一歩遅かった。
I mean, we're too late. You think he was just sitting there in the middle of the floor during episode 1? So it was what? Gina, Rockio, SQ, and these two, right?
ああ、来たね。本命が。そうか。ここは一番最初に僕が目覚めた。
Gina's going to get cyberized.
お疲れ様説。記憶戻った？あ、いや。
なになに？じゃあ記憶ゼロってこと？それって難しくない？
簡単じゃないか。
So now we want to go out,
コールドスリープしてしまえば。
staring at SQ's butt some more?
このまま会議が進むと。ラキオがコールドスリープに。
And then Gina gets cyberized.
できるわけないんだから。パパーっと。
And then Setsu gets frozen.
待って。何のことかさっぱりわからないよ。投票ってグノーシアって？演技もここまで来ると白々しい。
レビー、今の会話聞いていただろう？
はい、すべて聞いておりました。
会議の前に少しだけ時間をくれないか？
時間は限られているんだ。
Oh yeah, that's right. You had the meeting in the cafeteria.
コーヒー入れる？じゃあこれ使って。ルーアンでもらったんだ。あれ？ここに置いといたんだけどな。ないの？うん。
Oh, you're
多分
changing
部屋だ
it.
と思う。話を始めててくれ。すぐ戻る。
おいおい。
話と言われましても。
Now, I don't remember now. If I had known that we'd be going and doing loop number 1 again, I would have gone back and rewatched Loop 1 to see if there was
銀の
anything.
鍵を取ってくるんだ。そして会議が終わるまでに僕に渡してほしい。
God damn it, now I need to rewatch Loop number
君
1.
の鍵は満ちて君の体を離れる。ループを終わらせることができる。
Because I'm pretty sure in the original she does just pour the coffee and that's it. But if she did leave the room, I know, you just don't need to remember.
ノーシアは自分を守るために巧みに嘘をつくって言うからさ。パパッと直感で決めちゃうしかないっすよ。何もかも遅すぎるぜ、セツ。ごめん、探してたら時間かかっちゃって。
時間です。
I legit don't actually know what we're doing right now.
もう入れてる時間ない。
We should just be following the same loop, in which case, this Setsu will transfer their key to this Yuri,
銀の鍵を。
and then this Yuri, our Yuri,
どうもこそこそ怪しい。
え？
メインコンソールまで監視させてもらう。今度は逃げられないようにね。
ああ、わかった。
anyway, our Yuri will wake up in the other
ここでみんなから
dimension,
離れて銀の鍵の受け渡しを
and
す
then
るつもり
this
だった
Yuri will just start looping with no conscious memory of what the fuck has happened to them.
セツ。
え？
セツ、これって
え待て、その銀の鍵。セツ、勝手に僕の部屋に。あ、おい、待て
Don't fuck up Rockio, come on.
捕まえろ、泥棒だ。
まったく、どれだけ無茶をすれば気が済むんだ、君は。
でもそもそも僕のものでもあるわけだし。
No, again, different multiverse. Although Silver Keys can travel across multiverses, so no, because the Silver Key intelligence that was the one that was in you is in Setsu right now. At the very least, I can track direct ownership from that one to this one.
笑い事じゃないぞ。おかげで泥棒だ。
ごめん。でもきっとラキオなら許してくれると思う。
そうなのか？
ああ、間違いない。これでやっと僕とセツのループを終えることができる。すべての因果を
They
繋ぐ
would
ことができる。
have on their own.
やっと。セツ、
本当に。これで私のループが終わるのはわかる。けど、ユーリはどうなるの？ここでこの銀の鍵を受け取ったら、ユーリはまたルー
Well,
プを。
this Yuri will.
大丈夫。規制されるのはこの僕だ。もう一つの宇宙から来た本来存在しないバグのもうすぐ消える僕だ。
消える？
ああ、ここに来るときにお願いしたんだ。すべてが終わったら僕を消してくれって。
Well, you shouldn't disappear, you should just merge into the NAS. Not the same thing.
その銀の鍵は消えるはずだ。僕が消えるのと一緒に。
ダメだ、そんなの。
僕というバグによって乱れた宇宙をすべて元通りにして何事もなかったかのように綺麗にする。そして消えていく。こんな美しい一生なんてないと思ってる。お願いだ。やり遂げさせてくれ。もう時間がない。セツ。ありがとう。
I guess at the end of the day,
疑うな、恐れるな、そして知れ。
ユーリ、
すべては知ることで救われる。
At the end of the day, my question has to be, is this an ending that's better than the ending we already got? Which is to say, where everything wrapped up.
まだ大丈夫そうだ。
And so far, my answer is no.
ユーリ様、セツ様、会議開始時刻を過ぎております。繰り返します。ユーリ様、セツ様、
どうやらまだ
会議開始時刻を過ぎております。
やらなきゃいけないことが残っているようだね。
I'd also say that conceivably you could make the argument for Setsu Silver Key needed the knowledge of witnessing Yuri do all this shit to complete, but it wouldn't have jumped into a different multiverse to see that happen.
決定はしてないでしょ。ラキオがそうすべきだって言ってるだけで。
当たり前だ。こんな狭い船内で盗みを働くなんて苦悩者に違いない。
論理が破綻。
私、支援って思うんすけど。
Also, two of them did it, and there's one Nos. Or one Gnosia, so that doesn't make sense either.
すまない。この会議を終わらせるためにどうしても必要があって少し遅れてしまった。
会議を終わらせる？
ああ。一人の犠牲も出さずにこの会議を終わらせる。
ふん。口から出まかせだよ。
ククルシカも。
ああ、君がいなくなった宇宙ではククルシカは
Oh yeah, I guess I was just super wrong about that one too.
人形のままなんだ。何か心当たりはある？
そうか。メインコンソールに行こう。話し合いの中で決着をつけるんだ。ずっと君に頼りすぎていたから今回は私にやらせてほしい。説。
But SQ is the Gnosia, so
グノーシアは SQ。
yeah.
私が？なんで？
やはり
Okay, camera, come on.
私とユーリは知ってるんだ。議論するまでもなくね。
それは僕の。
よく見て。すでに知識で満たされている。さっき君の部屋から持ってきたものとは違うよ。この銀の鍵はもう満杯だ。それがどういう意味かわかるか？
なるほどね。もうループを経験済みというわけか。
ループ？そう。私は何十何百
Less people to explain it to this time, that's for sure.
あらゆる情報を得ているんだ。だからわかるんだよ。マナ。
マナ。
私はね、マナ。たくさんのループを経験して何度も会ってるんだ。人格の移植に失敗した。自分のことを私なんて決して言わない。本物の SQ に。
Oh, you know, I never really picked that up. I just thought she did it sometimes, not all the time.
今ここにいるのはマナ。SQ という肉体に人格を移植した SQ の母親だ。その証拠に。
I don't know, I'd say she's SQ's mother.
私って言ってただろ。
そうなの？あらあら、そんなことまでバレちってんだ。研究熱心なのね。
つまり認めるということかい？
あんたつまらないこと調べているんだから。はい、マナンちゃんでーす。
認めた。
Has that always been a thing?
だから
I know it's been a heart
なんであった
and a
としても
skull.
グノーシアとは限らないわよ。
I never thought to look at it as a star, if a star was Manan.
私はね、ループを繰り返している間、SQ に疑問を持ったんだ。人格移植がうまくいかず、SQ 本来の人格の時と、人格移植がうまくいき、完全にマナンとなってしまっている SQ。その差はどこで生まれるんだろうって。それが知りたくて、何百というループの間、データを取って突き止めた。マナンは、SQ がグノーシア汚染されている時にしか現れない。
面白い。
So Manan is always the infected SQ?
口から出まかせでしょ。今の話には一つも根拠がないんだから。
そうだね。もし今の話をみんなが出任せだと思うのなら、選ばれるのは私だ。
which means that Kakushra is always SQ.
時
Is
間
that
にな
it?
りました。ではこれより投票に移ります。
That infected SQ is Manan. So in those instances,
この結果に拒否権は
Kakushra
存
is
在せず、
with
投
the
票の結果は
SQ
全員の意
intelligence.
思とみなし、その結果には全員が従う。同意しますか？では審判の時間です。 Who is the Gnosia?
I heard that. They said Gnosia. Hard G. Now, is Rakio gonna be petty and vote based on getting stolen from?
これより開票します。 決定しました。
Would have been
コー
funny.
ルドスリープとなるのは SQ 様です。
いや、その必要はないよ。決着はコールドスリープ以外でつけるつもりだ。
まだなんかあんの？
ああ、誰一人犠牲者を出さずに終わらせるんだ。この物語を。レビ、倉庫にある1375番コンテナを開けてくれないか。
申し訳ございません。倉庫は船長権
Yeah,
限
say
により封
Jonas
鎖さ
isn't
れて
gonna
お
let
り
you
ます
do that, even if
ジ
he's
ョナ
not
スはい
here.
ないよ。それに私は軍人だ。貨物の調査権限を有している。
ですが、
今までの話を聞いていただろう、レビ。いや、ステラ。
ステラと私を呼ぶのですね。
ああ。
But there's a difference. Stella is one body, Levi is the other.
まさか私にこの道路に入れってマジで言ってる？
そして別の宇宙に行ってもらう。これで扉を開いて。
Where you can then go on to murder everybody in one.
意識を移植する方法は知ってるんだろ。
でもな。でもですよ。自己同一性ってすごいデリケートなわけで。移植したら私ってものがゴリゴリに削れちゃう可能性もあるわけで。ペナルティきつすぎじゃね？
ペナルティ？勘違いしないでほしい。これはペナルティじゃない。
はあ？
言っただろ。一人の犠牲も出さないって。君には進んでこの人形に入り、扉をくぐってほしいんだ。
この子、頭大丈夫？
よく考えてほしい。なぜ移植先が人形なのか、扉をくぐった方がいいのか。人形なら人格移植を繰り返さなくても、
That was the most clear picture we've seen of her face, too. As Manan.
この向こうには私から離れた後の銀の鍵がある。銀の鍵の力で何度でも時間が巻き戻る。それは私と違い、不老不死を求める君には悪くない話だと思うけど。
なるほど。それが私への
Yeah, because it seems like the only thing you have to do is not learn a goddamn thing. You'd be looping forever.
悲しむ人はいないから。
ひどっジナ、君もなかなか言うじゃないか。
うるさいグリズの茶坊主。
I mean, this is certainly a thing. I just don't know that this is necessary.
Seiko?
ああ、動いているということはそういうことだよ。
この扉を通れば別の宇宙に出る。ここでお別れだ。
Wait, how do you... Oh, okay, never mind. Hold on. What?
マナン。いつかまた会おうね。今度は良い形で。
Okay, here's the thing. Setsu opens the portal, so Setsu uses theirs. Right. Yuri has the other one, right?
繋がったんだね。
So where does
全ての縁だ。
Manon get theirs to loop with? Because Manon, Manon, Kakushra can't talk.
空間転移を行います。
Kakushra can't say the words to activate the silver key.
ここでいい。
承知いたしました。ただ、せめて横になっていただくようお願いいたします。
And they didn't show anyone transferring the silver key into
わか
Kakushra.
った？お腹すいた。
私はね、ユーリ。前に扉をくぐった時、覚悟していたんだ。二度と会えない。ユーリのいない世界で、ずっとループし続けることになる。そう思っていたんだ。
Well, you weren't though, because you brought frozen Yuri with you.
ユーリがまた会いに来てくれて、私を救ってくれた。
I mean, you would have been with a Yuri, not the
私のル
Yuri.
ープを終わらせてくれた。
セツも頑張ったじゃないか。最後は僕一人じゃとても無理だった。
そうだね。二人で頑張ったんだ。あらゆる世界線で、そして宇宙を超えて、ここまで。今ようやくわかった。やはり君はイレギュラーなんだ。銀の鍵によって歪んでしまった宇宙に現れる得意な存在。
Except for the fact there was two of you.
バグ。
And an infinite number of multiverses of you.
バグなんかじゃない。君は私の。
空間転移までカウントダウンをいたします。10、9、8、7、6、5、4、3、2、
Let's say, I think I'm clearly missing something here, the final part.
ねえ、ユーリ。私はここにいる。そして君もそこにいる。
Hey, it's from the opening.
それだけで十分なんだ。だから、ありがとう。君がそこにいてくれて。
The thing I was about to say that I think I clearly must be missing is the element that he should still return back to his body in the universe where they're in front of the Hoshibone, right? Unless they did something right there when they were transferring SQ into Kakushra that I missed. I guess. My problem is that I still find this entire arc to be completely unnecessary. The 3-episode wrap-up didn't make any sense to me. I mean, it made sense within its own realm if I believed anything that was happening. But as I said before, okay. I mean, that's certainly a change. Look, thank you two for making the show. This literally knocks it down a few pegs from my show of the year. But it's still a good-ass show. Is that Manon Yuri? Or is that Gnosia Yuri? What was that? I'm thinking that's Manon Yuri? Because that seems to be the most probable thing based on what they were doing there at the very end. Because also, after a certain point of the show, the Gnosia thing is like no longer a threat. So a smirk from. Also, I think that's more of a Manon tick than anything else. Anyway, as I was saying, I've been saying that Fate Strange Fake and Gnosia, for so far, have been like my number one and my number two of show of the year so far. And I know, like, 3 months into the year, but strong contenders. Here's the thing, Fate Strange Fake has not missed a step the entire time. These last couple of episodes, post ending, epilogue episodes, have kind of been missing for me. And again, mostly from the element that it's treating Setsu as a damsel in distress for no reason. I believe the internal logic of the show makes it so they didn't need to be rescued. And I can only assume that people who are encountering this later, who have logicked everything out on their own, are just shouting me down because I don't know. Okay, I thought maybe something was going to happen there. Yep, sorry. Final second. So yeah, there wasn't going to be any final reveals there. I guess the smirk at the very end was the final reveal. Yeah. I mean, I hate to finish up here with a downer note, but this was a good episode if you wanted some emotionality between Setsu and Yuri. But I kind of feel like I already had that. So it wasn't necessary to give me an extra episode just for that. Plus, I don't believe anything was needed. At the end of the day, the only use for this episode I could have really had was, hey, we're back at episode 1 again. And the element that if they had Groundhog Stayed it, right? If they had showed us things that were happening in episode 1 that we didn't notice before, for a moment, I was like, did Setsu actually run out because she had to go get they had to go get the coffee? Because I was like, that didn't happen, right? They just poured the coffee. So if the element was that, oh wait, Setsu actually did run out to go get the coffee, and all this background shit, episode 1 was super complex, and we didn't know it because it was the introduction to everything. And then here, we're seeing everything from Back to the Future 2 versus Back to the Future 1, everything that's happening in the background. That would have been a thing. That would have made this whole fucking thing worth it. I'm not there. I know I'm in love with the fucking show. I had so many goddamn notes this entire time. But I think this is ultimately the letdown when it comes to that. Actually, I just want to show real quick. Let me put this over here. Well, that doesn't really quite fit the screen, but you get the point. The element that I got nothing but notes for this whole goddamn show. Well, that's probably the better way to do it. Just keeping track of fucking everything. I got this whole thing of nothing but thoughts about what things mean, character relationships, the Silver Key, Rockio, they know about everything. Just constant loop after loop of what does this mean? How does these things interact with one another? What multiverses are at play? Time travel in different directions, different types of loops. If Setsu met Yuri before the ship, all sorts of stuff. And I don't think that the last 3 episodes had anything come into play about that. Sorry, that was an unrelated no bad. I don't really mean to be rambling here. It's just the element that we are here at the very end, and I'm trying to make sure that none of my thoughts are lost here at the moment. And yeah, of course, the board, as it was. I will be sad to see the show go, though. It was a highly enjoyable show, even if the last 3 episodes didn't pan out well for me. And I guess the most sad thing of all, I guess this is the real sadness. Beyond the character stuff, right? The character interactions, the final goodbyes. That was the actual sadness. But that we never got more than one full loop, right? The one full loop we got after we learned all the roles and we got one real game. Like, I understand that Gnosia isn't about that game, apparently. But I was so prepped all of this time, getting up to, what was it? Loop 19. And we played the game once. I spent all that time taking all these notes about the character personality traits, like, to learn every little thing about them. Specifically to be able to play the game right. And I guess, worst of all, there's no replayability when it comes to the anime. I know because I kept track. I guess the only out for me is to actually play the game, right? Because as far as I know, all of this is based on the game, but it's not exactly the same as the game. Plus, there's game mechanics and apparently all that other stuff you guys have been telling me about the entire time. Like, they have stats and whatnot. Well, I guess here's hoping that whatever wins the next poll, or whatever recommendation somebody gives after this, it can fill the hole in my heart that this show is going to leave behind. Because I might not have been as emotionally attached to these characters as I am for some shows, which is weird to say, because I'm not usually the emotional kind of person when it comes to this stuff, but 15 characters that I've really been trying to learn everything I possibly can about. Right? 15 characters that for... God, how long has it been now? 21 episodes. That's at least 21 weeks. I don't remember if there was like any pauses in between. There was one pause. There was 1 week off, I think, for the Olympics. Oh, and there was the 1 week between the first half and the second half. So, what, 25 weeks, technically. So we're looking at, what, 6 months? It's been 6 months of getting to know these characters. And ultimately, I feel like the real ending was the Stand By Me, where we get a little text crawl of every person and what they went on to do. Except for, Yuriko, which was just question marks. And then half of them were jokes. Man. Sad to see it end. Literally, I'm just hemming and hawing here because I don't want to wrap the video up with nothing to say, but honestly, I guess I got nothing to say. Man, I don't know. If you know me on Discord, you'll know that for the longest time, like years, my avatar has been Tet from No Game No Life, the god of games, because I really enjoy basically everything to do with Tet. I might be switching over to Rakio. I like Rakio's personality. I like the logical approach to everything. I like the appearance. That is fucking unique appearance. And ironically, only slightly just as... I think there's as much face makeup as Tet has, with Tet's game icons and everything on their face. Sorry, I'm hemming and hawing, and I should realize that there's nothing more for me to say, really. I've expressed everything. I think if you take all of my opinions from episode 1 to 21, that's probably for the best. Just ignore my opinions about episodes, sorry, I said 1 to 21, 1 to 18, and then just ignore my opinions from 19 to 21. It's probably for the best. So, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up here. I've said what I said, not taking any of it back. Well, maybe I will, but you'll have to wait till the ranking video for that to happen. So, once again, participate in the ranking if you want to. Next week will be an OVA episode, and then the week after that we'll do the ranking, and then we will be done with Gnosia, I guess. So, until then, once again, I have been Theta, this has been Stoneface Reactions, and I'll, no matter what, catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?